So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 18 of our F1 Manager save here on the channel. Right, we are starting this week with a problem, and that problem is Pierre Gasly and his race engineer are not too happy with each other. We've just had an email from Gianna Garnier, who is our personal officer. I should probably get to know her first name properly. But anyway, Pierre Gasly and Carol Lou's not getting on at the moment. We can either intervene or we can acknowledge the situation and hope that they work it out between themselves. I think at this moment in time, looking at Pierre Gasly's morale, if we just have a quick look at that, Pierre Gasly, he's got high morale. So I'm quite happy at the moment. I'm going to acknowledge this and I'm going to hope that they both manage to sort this out themselves. So we're going to acknowledge that, let them get on with it, and hopefully they will manage to sort themselves out. If you didn't watch the last episode in Suzuka, go back and watch that. We did manage to get a P7 with Esteban Ocon. Max Verstappen won the race on the day, 11 seconds to Checo Perez. Pierre Gasly down in P11. Maybe some of the strategies and things in that race maybe contributed to this little misunderstanding and this little row that they are having at this moment in time. Looking at the standings, constructor standings wise, Red Bull 157 points in front of Ferrari now. We are in P5, keeping Williams at bay, but not really making ground on Mercedes, although we are fighting with them very much in terms of track position in these recent races. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen is leading by over 100 points from his teammate Checo Perez. Leclerc and Sainz are two Ferrari boys trying to chase down Checo. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly in P9 and 10, which is where we've finished, to be fair, most of this season. And this weekend we head to Qatar, a circuit I've not visited before on any of the F1 games, of course. It's a new track, 57 laps round here. It's going to be a very interesting 100% historic safety car chance. And if we have a look at the expected strategies, we are expecting a two-stop from mediums onto hards, or possibly the softs, so every tyre looks like it's viable this weekend. Medium speed cornering is absolutely crucial. One other thing I'd like to bring you up to date on is the cost cap. Our accountants are getting a little bit nervous. It must be said, so am I. Looking at this, we may breach the cost cap here, so something we've got to bear in mind going through all the rest of this season. $123,000 remaining. Could be very, very difficult with a few more races yet to go. So I'm going to get through practice and I will see you in qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix.
Welcome everyone, qualifying for the sprint awaits us and we're raring to get going.
As usual, drivers have 3 parts to qualify for their grid position. Unlike a regular qualifying, however, today will set the grid for the upcoming sprint.
If we turn our attention to Pierre Gasly for a minute, Karun, how's he going to be feeling as qualifying approaches?
Neither of the team's drivers have brought home many points so far, so they'll be looking to change that as soon as possible to prove their worth on track.
Well, it's almost here. Qualifying coming up soon.
So big moments in Q2 as Esteban Ocon is knocked out in P11. It was Pierre Gasly who was the last man over the line and managed to knock out his teammates. So just one car to manage in Q3, but Max Verstappen is looking in imperious form for this sprint weekend. And so this is it then, final run in Q3. As you can see, Pierre Gasly, he's green through the first and second sectors, didn't have the best lap on his first run on a scrub set of soft compounded tyres, but Pierre Gasly is going to come across the line. Can he get past Alexander Albon? That's the key thing here today. And Pierre Gasly at the moment goes in front of Albon by 2 tenths and stays in front of Alexander Albon. So Pierre Gasly in P9. Leclerc's got a grid penalty, but Max Verstappen is on pole for the sprint race tomorrow. Let's have a look at the strategies. Is it going to be medium or softs? Let's have a look. Right, guys, starting P8 and 11, and it's a no-brainer. The softs are the better tyre. 19 laps round here, and we know we are pretty decent on our tyres anyway. So in 19 laps, I'm pretty confident soft compound is the way to go for us. We're going to be aggressive at the start. Try and basically warm up the tyres as quickly as we possibly can and then go from there. So P8, P11, can we move forward to get a higher place for the grid on Sunday? Let's have a look.
The sprint today sees the drivers tackle 19 laps of the Lusail International Circuit.
It's a fast track here in Qatar. Expect to see the pack fight it out trading places to improve their chances of scoring more championship points.
So then, it's time to see who wants that victory the most. We're ready for the sprint here in Qatar. It's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away Max Verstappen leads away off pole. Checo Perez will have the inside line into turn one, but Max Verstappen just about managing to hold it around the outside. Ocon is into P11 straight away, but Pierre Gasly already battling with Alexander Albon, and although he out-qualified him, he has unfortunately lost the position to him early doors. We are going to tell both our drivers they are okay to be aggressive early doors here, maintain positions, and that is the plan early doors. But Verstappen leads away from Perez, then comes Leclerc. Stroll is in the battle with Alonso as well, and Carlos Sainz, but Alonso just manages to nudge in front. Russell in P7, Hamilton P8, then comes Albon, Gasly in P10, De Vries P11. Ocon's dropped another place down to P12. Esteban Ocon not having a good start early doors in this Grand Prix. You join us back on lap 6. We can see Pierre Gasly fighting with Kevin Magnussen, but unfortunately we are only going one way here, and that is backwards. Esteban Ocon and Gasly, it's a very frustrating thing this, because at the start of Grand Prix we do not seem to have the pace, and the cars around us just get away from us, and it takes us a while to get up to temperature. I'm not quite sure why that is. If we have a look at our tyres, they are so much better than the cars around us. We should be blitzing these guys, but we don't seem to be doing it. Verstappen's still leading from Perez. It's now 1.7 seconds. Leclerc in P3, then comes Stroll and Alonso, Sainz in P6, Russell, Hamilton, Albon in P9, De Vries P10, Ocon in P11, Magnussen, and then Gasly in P13. I'm hoping this is going to come to us towards the end. Lap 13, Esteban Ocon is making his way through the field now, and up to P9. He's managed to overtake Alexander Albon, and Ocon looking pretty strong. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly not got the pace as of yet in this sprint. This is a frustrating thing. In qualifying, got the short pace, but in the long runs and in the races, really struggling. Down in P13, Ocon P9, Verstappen still leading from Perez. It's the Red Bulls totally dominant here, but Ocon is miles behind Hamilton, but P9 is probably as good as he could have hoped for. Lap 13. Max Verstappen has some ridiculous pace. He's managed to get the win. Looks like somebody's got a puncture there. That looks like Logan Sargent's got a puncture on his back left tyre. We've got Stroll and Alonso finishing. Ocon, he's going to come across the line to comfortably finish in P9 towards the end of this Grand Prix. So it's been a decent day for Ocon. Pierre Gasly, however, it can't be said the same for him. Our tyres have lasted well compared to the competitions. It's prompting thoughts of maybe a one-stop for tomorrow. But Gasly in P12 will come across the line. Not a good day for Pierre Gasly, and this is only going to strengthen the tensions between him and his race engineer. Disappointment for Alpine in the sprint. Let's look forward to Sunday. So there we have it then, guys. The results are here. So Verstappen from Perez. Verstappen run away with it. Leclerc in P3, but has got that grid penalty for tomorrow. Stroll, Alonso, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Ocon, and Albon in your top 10. Magnussen's got a grid penalty, as has De Vries, so he will get promoted. Pierre Gasly to P11, I would imagine, at least. So Pierre Gasly is going to be starting towards the front, more so than where he finished. So that's the grid for tomorrow. Let's have a look at the strategy. Right then, guys, split strategies for our two guys. So Esteban Ocon is going to be starting on the soft compounder tyre, then going on to the medium, then another set of mediums, a traditional two-stop. Pierre Gasly didn't, it's fair to say, have a good time on those soft compound tyres. That's been taken into account in the sprint race debrief, and he's going to be on the mediums to start. Just the one stop for Pierre onto the hard, so he's starting in P11. Both cars underfueled a little bit, but I just want to try something different with Pierre because I reckon that's his best chance for today. So P9, P11, let's get to 5 red lights for the Qatar Grand Prix.
Here on the outskirts of Doha, the excitement continues to build as we approach the Qatar Grand Prix. We look now to Esteban Ocon, who's clearly ready and raring to go.
They start this race in P9, eager to fight for a place in the points.
But just what will happen here, your guess is as good as mine. We're about to get going here in Qatar. And it's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we're looking at Esteban Ocon, because Esteban Ocon is on the soft compounded tyre when a lot of his competitors are on the medium. So I'm hoping that for once we might get a little bit of benefit here. And Esteban Ocon already battling with the Mercedes of George Russell and getting past. So Esteban Ocon straight away making moves in this race. Meanwhile, so is Pierre Gasly. We're going to tell him to be aggressive on the overtakes as well. But Pierre Gasly fighting with Charles Leclerc. He's got past Alexander Albon. He's got Leclerc in front of him now. But Ocon fighting tooth and nail with George Russell. And he's got the job done. So Esteban Ocon up into P7 straight away. Gasly fighting with Leclerc. This is a good start after a poor Saturday. This is making up for it a little bit. It's all eyes on Esteban Ocon early doors in this Grand Prix, as he's really attacking on these tyres. We're just now going to switch it down to standard for him. Pierre Gasly as well. He's got the tyres up to temperature. Well, that's better. Like I said, we are under fueled a little bit. That doesn't worry me. But Esteban Ocon, if he can latch onto the back of this front pack, we might be absolutely laughing. And Pierre also needs to latch onto these guys. But remember, only the one stop for Pierre Gasly. So it's Verstappen at the front, who's already pulled out a second on Lance Stroll. Perez battling with Fernando Alonso for P4. We can ride on board with the Spanish driver who's attacking Checo Perez and looks like he's got the better traction out of that final corner. But as we come on to lap 2, it's Perez still just in front from Sainz. Hamilton in P6. Ocon is now struggling again and under pressure from George Russell. We are going to tell him to use the ERS and try and maintain this position and get up towards Lewis Hamilton. That's the idea with Esteban. Gasly looks like he's losing positions as well. Gasly down to P11 after a promising first lap. Gasly is now behind Alexander Albon in the Williams. Lap 2. Lot of things happening here. Lap 4, Esteban Ocon, he's doing everything he can to stay with these two cars in front of him in P9, and that's allowing him to drop Alexander Albon, and that's also helping his teammate out, because his teammate now is on the back of Alexander Albon and has pulled out a second gap to Lando Norris. So Pierre Gasly just about doing enough, but Esteban Ocon also doing enough to stop in the DRS range. Verstappen's pulled out the gap to Stroll to 1.8 seconds, but he's under pressure from a charging Checo Perez. Fernando Alonso down in P4, Sainz P5, Hamilton P6, Russell P7, then comes Leclerc, but Ocon is really struggling to stay in this DRS range of the cars in front of him, and that's particularly worrying for him at this moment in time. So as we come on to lap 4, both cars doing their utmost to stay in DRS. Lap 7, we've got Esteban Ocon's tyres overheating a little bit, but this is a big moment in the race because Pierre Gasly, we've got a few laps into the race once again, got bedded in, and Pierre Gasly has managed to get Alexander Albon, remember, on the one stop, Pierre Gasly. So he's into P10, and you can see just in front of him on that highlight, we can see Esteban Ocon is doing enough to just stay with the cars in front of him. We're quite happy at the moment on where Esteban is. So Esteban in P9 on lap 7, doing okay. Gasly into P10 on totally different strategies. Lap 7, looking okay for Alpine. And both Alpine cars have just gained a position because Lance Stroll, running in P2, may have had a little bit of a nosebleed, but locked up into turn 1. Checo Perez has been putting the pressure on him, and Lance Stroll didn't manage to return to the racetrack safely and has dropped a lot of positions to the fact where now he's in P19 and he's off the track again. Zhou Guanyu in P20 has now got him as well, so not a good moment for him. Esteban Ocon still on the back of this leading crew. Will we manage to get an undercut on these guys? We will, because we're going to be going on to the mediums. So Esteban Ocon's in a decent position here. Pierre Gasly has managed to break the DRS of Alexander Albon. I'm sitting quite comfortably on a weekend where there is rumours around the paddock that Alpine have broken the cost cap and are now going to be severely affected for the rest of this season. But we'll come to that a little bit later. But Pierre Gasly in P9 at this moment. Lap 14, tyre wear has been worse than expected, and Esteban Ocon is going to be coming in for his pit stop and trying to get an undercut on these guys in front of him. Now, it must be said, the pit crew, we've put them on a less vigorous training regime of late because the fatigue they've been struggling with a little bit So I'm a little bit nervous for the pit stops this weekend, but Esteban Ocon is into the box for his first pit stop of the afternoon. Let's have a little look at what happens here. Hopefully we're not going to have any issues, and we're not. 2.5 second stop, that's not bad at all. Now I'm expecting him to come out around Lance Stroll is my idea. But let's have a little look. Lance Stroll coming around the final corner. Maybe he might do a little bit better than that. As he comes out, he's got Yuki Tsunoda there. Is he going to come out in front of Yuki Tsunoda? He certainly is, and he's blocked Yuki Tsunoda off, so that's not bad for Esteban Ocon. He can now get a shift on, so that's pretty good for him. We'll go aggressive just to get the tyres up to temperature, but decent for Esteban Ocon, and we're going to tell him to deploy to try and get out in front of these guys in front. Meanwhile, Gasly just hanging onto the tyres beautifully. Tyre wear with Gasly is about where it should be. He's doing very, very well indeed. Lap 15. Right, we've got two incidents here. First one is Esteban Ocon managing to get past a little bit of this traffic. He managed to get past Logan Sargent with the DRS, and it's lovely work from Esteban. And he's now got the McLaren in his sights of, I believe that's Lando Norris. We'll double check on that. But we've just had a lock-up from Pierre Gasly on turn 6. Let's have a little look at this. Pierre Gasly, nobody round him. Let's have a little look at this lock-up. What's happened to him here? Just carried straight on a little bit. He's lost a little bit of time, but has managed to get the car going again. So Pierre Gasly losing some time, but maintaining his P8. Esteban Ocon has got to get past Oscar Piastri as quick as he possibly can. And it looks like he's already looking to try and get past the Australian. He's losing a little bit of time here, especially around these corners. The McLaren does not look quick. But Esteban Ocon doing his utmost to get past the McLaren. Lap 18, still waiting for a few cars to pit at the front. Just as we said that, he managed to get past Oscar Piastri, got the DRS, beautiful work from him, and he's up now into P11. So great work from Esteban. I believe, let's have a look, we've still got none of the front cars pitting just yet. Esteban Ocon now has got Hulkenberg to chase after, and crucially, has got some free air in front of him. Pierre Gasly, that mistake's cost him a little bit, but Alexander Albon's still a little bit further back. And as we know with Pierre, pretty good at managing his tyres. Lap 19. Pierre Gasly, he's not too impressed that he's just been overtaken by a Ferrari. To be fair, on fresh soft compound tyres, I think we expect that. But I can't see Pierre managing to stop with him for too long either. But hopefully he might get a couple of DRS straights, but he's already into the distance. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon has just got past Nico Hulkenberg. Lando Norris has pit, so Ocon back up into the top 10 and only 4 seconds behind Alexander Albon and on fresher tyres. So Ocon has nearly made that pit stop up. It's looking good for Esteban Ocon. Gasly is going to be getting ready for his pit stop in a few more laps' time. At the front, Verstappen is still leading from Alonso, and Verstappen's looking after his tyres beautifully. It must be said, we'll have a full rundown. It's Verstappen from Alonso, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz. Sainz has pit on to soft compound tyres. Then comes Gasly, Albon, and Esteban Ocon in P10. We are getting a few more cars pitting. Let's just have a look at this Nico Hulkenberg incident, though, before we do. Nico Hulkenberg running in P11. Nobody round him. The cars are quite spaced out, it must be said, in this Grand Prix. But Hulkenberg locking up. It's not major, it must be said. But interestingly, Charles Leclerc's just come out onto the hard compounder tyre, and Ocon is in front of him. So he has managed to jump Charles Leclerc with the undercut, only by a second or so. But now he's on the back of Alexander Albon, and he needs to get past Albon as quick as he possibly can, does Esteban Ocon, because as soon as he gets past him, then he can try and put some distance between himself and that Ferrari. I don't think it'll be too long ago. Perez is coming into the pits. Pierre Gasly will be coming in. I believe it's this lap or the next one. We'll come back when Pierre is into the box. And into the pits comes Pierre Gasly. Leclerc's now on the back of Albon as well, and now Ocon is into P9. We'll see that happening to the right-hand side behind us. Let's just have a little look at this before he pits. So Ocon, yeah, Leclerc's got DRS on Ocon, but Gasly into the box. He could do with a decent pit stop here. Could Pierre Gasly? Wheels are on. He gets held a little bit, possibly by Albon, but he's out onto the hard compounded tyre. It looks like Albon and Gasly are on the same strategy. We're going to have a little look at Albon's pit stop. It's a decent pit stop for Albon, but Gasly now out onto the circuit in front of, I believe that's Lance Stroll on the soft compounded tyre. So Gasly out in front of those two guys, and he's got Kevin Magnussen in front of him. My idea now would be to go up to Magnussen as quick as we possibly can and get that DRS. Meanwhile, Verstappen is into the box, as is Fernando Alonso. So let's have a little look at this. We saw Hülkenberg having an issue on circuit with the stopping, and now he's had an issue in the pit stops as well, just to bring you up to date on that. Max Verstappen, it's a hold, being held for the Aston Martin, but they are back out. So Verstappen will comfortably retake the lead. Ocon has got Leclerc on his back now, but remember, Ocon has got another pit stop to make, so it'll be interesting to see how quick Esteban Ocon is towards the end of this Grand Prix. But Pierre Gasly in P10, trying his utmost to get up to the back of Kevin Magnussen. And on lap 26, it wasn't going to be too long before Charles Leclerc got past Esteban Ocon, and he certainly got past him now, because he's up into P6. Leclerc in that Ferrari having the pace what we at Alpine could only dream of having, but Ocon down to P7, but will be doing his utmost now to try and keep up with him. Gasly has still not really managed to get his tyres up to temperature, and he's got Stroll closing him down. We've just had an issue for Lewis Hamilton, and let's have a little look at this pit stop. So he's coming to the box, he's onto the hard compounder tyre, and it looks like that front left didn't go on correctly. That's lost him a lot of time, and it's lost him a lot of time because Esteban Ocon has actually got past Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton coming out with the pace, Ocon up into P6. Gasly has managed to catch the back of Magnussen. Has he managed to get the DRS? It's crucial. It doesn't look like he has at this moment in time, but he's doing everything he possibly can to get on the back of Magnussen and get this DRS. He's used a lot of DRS to do it, but hopefully this lap he will get the DRS, because I'm conscious of Lance Stroll behind him and Lando Norris. Ocon still in P6. Leclerc's dropped him by some distance. We have got a VSC, and it is George Russell who has crashed. Let's have a little look at this. So George Russell on the hard compounder tyre. It must be said, Pierre Gasly's not been particularly quick on him. He's just lost the rear end, gone careering into the barriers. But what that has meant is we are going to change strategy for Esteban Ocon. We're going to be proactive. A VSC is out, so Esteban Ocon is going to be coming in for a fresh set of hard compounder tyre. It makes sense to get him in now. We don't lose as much time under a VSC. It's around 17 seconds. So that's going to bring him out, if we have a look, somewhere around Norris. And Gasly's teammate Sainz is in. He's took the same option. I'm assuming Carlos Sainz is going to be coming in for the hard compounder tyre. Let's just have a little look at what happens here. So Carlos Sainz into the pits. Let's see if he does manage to go onto the hard compounder tyre. What's waiting for him? It's a set of mediums. That is brave. I don't think the mediums are going to last that long, and he's having a shocking pit stop as well. This does not look good for Ferrari. Meanwhile, Ocon in, we are more comfortable on the hards, it must be said. I'd be more comfortable ensuring that he gets towards the end of this race. Let's hope and pray that there is no issues for Esteban Ocon in this pit stop, because we've seen a couple already so far today. So let's have a little look as Gasly gets onto positive fuel delta. It's the hard compound tyre on for Ocon. It's a 2.5 second stop. Well done, pit crew. I know you're knackered, but he has got out now. Where is Esteban Ocon going to come out? Where is Pierre Gasly? Gasly just coming down the start finish straight. Ocon is out. Gasly, let's have a look. Who's going to come out in front here? It's going to be Esteban Ocon on fresh hard compound tyres. That's possibly not the worst news in the world for Pierre Gasly, because he could possibly drag us up. Magnussen's pit. So it's now between Ocon and Gasly, and then Hamilton. We just don't need any scrapping between our guys. We're going to tell them both to just calm down a little bit on the overtake aggression. Pierre Gasly could possibly hold station, but we're going to monitor that as we get back to green flag running. And we are back to green flag running. Ocon has given his teammate some DRS. This should help him defend against Lando Norris. Lando Norris is on soft compound tyres. He's yet to pit. Why he hasn't pit under the VSC is absolutely beyond me. Ocon just needs to get his tyres up to temperature. That's the key part in all of this. And Esteban Ocon can hopefully bring him and his teammate home for P7 and P8, pending any more drama. Huge moment in terms of this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen has been leading from start to finish. To be fair, he's led all weekend. He's took the inside line, maybe picked up a couple of marbles or something there, but he's locked up, and you can see the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso has taken the lead. Alonso leads from Perez, Verstappen down to P3. Look at the tyres. Alonso's got the best tyres. Has the Aston Martin driver got this in the bag? Lap 36. Huge moment in this race. Verstappen has just pit, as has Sergio Perez, both Red Bulls, onto the soft compounder tyre. That is making me wonder, is anybody else in the top teams going to pit here? Because Gasly's trying his best now. Albon, we're catching him at a rate of knots, to be fair. And the medium compound tyres are dying off now for Stroll and Magnussen. But Alexander Albon is now our rear gunner. He's going to have to be fighting with these two cars. But Gasly's been told to get the hurry up and strike while the iron's hot here and try and pull away from these guys, because Gasly's got a long way to go on these tyres. Ocon, however, looks pretty solid for P7 at this moment in time, like 41. Very interesting strategy from Ferrari this. They've just pulled Charles Leclerc into the pit. Sargent's locked up in turn 4. Magnussen is closing on Gasly, so it's going to be a very interesting end to this Grand Prix for Pierre Gasly. Where is Charles Leclerc going to come out here? It looks like he's going to come out comfortably in front of Ocon and on a set of fresh, hard, soft compound tyres for Charles Leclerc. So very interesting. A lot of cars going on to the softs at the end. We are sticking this out. Pierre Gasly, gap to Magnussen, 2.8 seconds. He's the only driver at the moment that I'm concerned about. 15 laps to go. We said it were going to be an interesting end to the race for Pierre Gasly. He was pushing to stay away from these two cars behind him. And what has he gone and done? He's locked up. It's only relegated him to P10, it must be said. But Pierre Gasly loses a couple of positions there. Very frustrating for Pierre at this moment in time. He's still got a 5-second gap to Alexander Albon, but very, very disappointing as Esteban Ocon getting a little bit of DRS from Lewis Hamilton. From bike marker. I believe that's Guan Yu it is. So Ocon is a clear P7. Gasly, if he can hold on to P10, I would be pretty happy with that, as we are now just going to tell him to start topping up on the ERS and just start going a bit lighter on the tyres, because that lockup has not done him any favours. Lap 49. We have seen a few lockups today, and Alexander Albon is the next one. He's the one chasing Pierre Gasly, and he's just done the same as what Pierre did. Locking up, not ideal at all for Alexander Albon. But what it has meant is that we have told Pierre Gasly to conserve on the tyres, and just ensure that he's not going to make any more mistakes. And if he can bring this home now, that is absolutely ideal for Pierre Gasly, who's currently 5 seconds behind Lance Stroll now. These two guys in front may be risking a puncture towards the end. Esteban Ocon at P7. Alonso still leading from Perez. Verstappen 10 seconds back from Checo. I believe they may have double stacked the Red Bulls, and that's not worked in Verstappen's favour at all. Can imagine that GP on the radio has had some choice words from Max to say. So this is it then, final few corners. Fernando Alonso, he's going to come round the final corner. There's been a little bit of a chase on from Checo Perez, but Alonso's got the strategy right, and Alonso is going to win the Qatar Grand Prix from Checo Perez in P2. Verstappen will take a podium in P3. Then comes Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton. Gasly got lapped in P10, but actually I think he'll be pretty chuffed with that, because it meant those tyres did manage to make it to the end. Esteban Ocon, as we just fast forward this round, is going to get P7, as we're going to hopefully get to see Esteban come across the line. It's been a good race for Esteban Ocon. It's been a good weekend, to be fair, for him after a poor qualifying. Esteban Ocon takes P7, beats an Aston Martin and beats a Mercedes as well. Pierre Gasly P10. It's double points for the Alpines.
Pierre Gasly there, coming back after the checkered flag.
Just managing a finish in the points, having crossed the line in 10th.
And that man up there is certainly no stranger to an F1 podium. Always great to see Fernando in the top 3.
That's their second win of the season. A brilliant talent who looks so at home on the track.
So there we have it, guys. Fernando Alonso's second win of the season, and that champagne is getting sprayed. Very well deserved for Fernando Alonso, gaining 3 positions and winning the Grand Prix. Checo Perez P2, Verstappen P3, Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Ocon P7, as we saw, Stroll P8, Magnussen in P9, deserving of that. Probably driver of the day is K-Mag. Pierre Gasly picking up a point. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen 23 points, still leads by over 100 points, 103, but who's counting? From his teammate Checo Perez. Leclerc and Sainz, interesting strategy from the Ferrari boys today, but score good points. Fernando Alonso 29 points, he's catching the Ferrari boys Lance Stroll, after that mistake when running P2, will be disappointed. It's 6 points for Esteban Ocon and 1 for Pierre Gasly. Constructor standings wise, Red Bull 705 points now. It's going to be very hard for them to lose it from here. Ferrari in P2, Aston Martin in P3, we stay in P5 and extend our lead to 51 points over Williams. As I said, we have looked like we've breached the cost cap. At the start of the next episode, we'll go into the ramifications of that. We've got to be tighter from the financial regulations, definitely, and I'm sure our senior accountant is going to give us a right rocket when we walk into the team headquarters on Monday morning. But for this weekend, let's just say we're happy with that performance. Esteban P7, we'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!